Welcome, everyone, to Outside the Echo Chamber. This is your fourth edition of Politics, Opinions, and Perceptions, a production brought to you by HD Media. You can see it live on the charlestongazettemail.com and the Herald Dispatch, and we keep it archived out there. Our show, like no others, like on the first three episodes, we do not shy away from all the hot topics and controversial issues up here at the legislature. We had an article this week on Saturday from Mike Toney in the Charleston Gazette Mail, where House bill changes mine inspectors' enforcement powers in the state. And we are going to be talking about that bill, and we actually coming to you just after a public hearing on House Bill 4840, where we had people talk who were against this bill and a speaker that was for this bill. So today, our guests are going to be, we are going to hear from sponsor of the bill, one of the sponsors of the bill, who is obviously for the bill, and someone who has been an opponent against the bill. And we're also going to be speaking to a former director of this office, as well as actual coal miners in West Virginia, active coal miners, that will be hearing how this may affect them and will affect them and how they perform their everyday lives. So with that, I want to dive right in here to one of the lead sponsors. We got Delegate Burkhammer with me today from Lewis County. Welcome.
Hey, Doug, appreciate you having me out today to talk about this.
Well, thanks for talking to me. You know, this bill right here, House Bill 4840, it does a lot with the Office of Health, Safety, and Training when it comes to mining. And you were one of the sponsors. It was Delegate Foster, Delegate Steele, and yourself. So just tell me about it. Tell me what one of the premises for this bill and why you signed on to be a sponsor.
Well, first, I just want to take the opportunity to send my condolences to the family that lost their miner today. Tragic event. It's nothing's ever good when it comes to that. You know, send my condolences to the fellow miners working with him. But I think that's a reminder that we don't want to get complacent, and that we need to be evolving in our safety, but also how we legislate. And so I hate it that opportunity. I don't want to use that as an opportunity. I want to send my condolences out to that, but so I've sponsored the bill because I don't want that to ever happen again. And I feel like if we can change our focus and change the culture from an enforcement agency to a training-based assisting agency, I think we can gain strides there. We have MSHA on the backside. They can come in and write their big fines, and they can play that part. But I think as a state, we can kind of reverse those roles and say, hey, we want to be proactive on the front end, and we want to start training our miners to be, on the lookout for that. Not necessarily just on the lookout for an inspector to come in and write us a fine, but truly watching out for our brothers and keeping everybody safe.
So basically, more or less changes to the current structure. So the structure would change more from a let's say kind of more like an operation that comes in to issue fines or look for things, more of just to come in and visit. Is that what?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say visit. I know that's been construed
that's been
that
a
way.
Word that we've heard a lot,
and I still think the word is inspect, but we're talking about proactive to reactive. So if I'm coming in to look at a job while it's going on, and I'm writing fines on everything that they're doing wrong, or I'm writing fines after an injury or an incident, that's a reactive stance. And so I'm looking at the proactive stance to say, how do we ever keep it from getting to that point? And I believe that is in training, utilizing the facility that we've got in Beckley, and I think we can step our game up on that side of things.
And you mentioned the one thing, is clarify for me about MSHA. You know, how does this work in tandem with MSHA? How is it different from MSHA? I mean, talk about that for a second.
Well, I can't tell you the year exactly, but in years past, there has been, they took away some of that duplicate processes, and I do commend that. I believe they were doing a lot of the same forms for the state and for the federal MSHA, and so they kind of combined those efforts. And so right now, currently, a lot of your inspections, a lot of your paperwork, a lot of your training is all under the MSHA, the federal guidelines, and then the state just recognizes that training and then issues your certification to enter the mine.
Okay, so that's kind of the premise of why you introduced this bill. And now we're going to take a moment. We're going to hear from Delegate Kayla Young from Kanawha County. You serve on the Government Organization Committee where this bill came through. It was actually originated in the government organization last Thursday, I believe. Is that correct?
Right.
So tell me about that when you saw this bill come and some of your concerns.
So we saw the bill at 11 a.m. the day that it was coming out, which was supposed to be the last day government organization was meeting before crossover day. So it was our last day of committee. We got an originating bill. We didn't get to see it until floor started at 11. Most of us had committees afterwards, and so by the time we got to the committee, we were really reading it for the first time. It's over 50 pages long. It rewrites almost an entire section of code, deletes a ton of sections of code, and it's a huge bill. It's a very, very large undertaking, and I don't think that anyone here makes bills lightly, but I do think that we have not considered this enough. So on the floor on Friday, I made a motion to send it to another committee to hope that we can continue the conversation, but that failed. So yeah, I'm definitely a no on the bill.
Well, I know you asked a lot of questions as well in committee, and
I did not actually.
Did not.
I
get to
was
ask
not
a lot of
allowed
questions.
to ask questions in committee. I tried, but they called the question beforehand, which is a procedural motion, so only a few people were allowed
But
to ask
you
questions.
had still a lot of questions to this
Quite
day.
a few.
Okay, so as one of the sponsors, you sat through the testimony tonight from the public hearing. You heard from a lot of miners. They're just concerned about we've done so much through the years with all the disasters, and we have the most amount of underground miners in the whole country are here in West Virginia. And actually, other states look to West Virginia when it comes to how they model their safety procedures. I mean, what do you say to them when we do something like this?
Well, first I want to say I appreciate them coming out and being engaged in government, appreciate their passion and their time to come out and share with us. And I didn't take any of it lightly. So I do appreciate that. But when we look at what we can do is not stop. And so sometimes what we can do is we can say we've reached a point and everything is going pretty decent, and we can kind of level out. And I think this is an opportunity to kind of get everybody to the table and to begin to say we can do better, that we need to do better, that obviously we've lost lives this year in mining. So I'm hoping we can continue to progress down this line and make our mines safer.
Delegate Young, I mean, you heard those comments and you heard some testimonials tonight at the public hearing. I mean, what would you say to all those miners that testified today that this was not the light that I'd like to see happen?
We heard from tens of miners and people working in the industry, and only one person said that they wanted the bill, and that was someone who represents coal operators. Most of these miners are begging for us not to take away this office. I too hope we're constantly evolving in our safety, and we're trying to stay safe, and we should never be complacent. But I worry that with this piece of legislation, we're devolving our safety. I'm very concerned that we're shortening the amount of apprentice time. The visits to the mines are going to drastically change, even though we heard proactive testimony that it's not going to change. I'm very concerned that this is still going to continue to be reactive, where they can only shut down the facility if there's imminent danger. And I mean, small things add up to imminent danger. I don't know why we're going to take that out of the equation altogether.
Delegate Burkhammer, one of the things that was brought up was about the amount of inspectors we have versus how many mines we have. Yep. I mean, is that an accurate, depiction of what's really going on out there? Was that a concern, or that was a reason for the bill, I guess? Is there?
That necessarily wasn't a reason for the bill, that we were one side or the other, lopsided. I just looked at it as an opportunity to get better at what we're doing. Just because it's always the way we've done it doesn't mean that we can't modify that or change it or improve it. So numbers didn't play a game in it, just truly wanting to keep people safe.
Coming from, you're from Lewis County, and I know how, miners are near and dear to all of us. I mean, was there any incidents or people reach out to you and asked you to support this piece of legislation? Is that why you signed on, or was it just any particular incident or anything, or no?
So it's just kind of personal. I'm a construction guy, so I understand a little bit of safety and various different industries, and so personally was involved in the safety and getting certified and being able to work, and just saw what I felt like was maybe a gap in what we were doing and a way to improve it, and that's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And I do want to add, this wasn't brought to me by any company. This isn't a company sponsored, industry sponsored or anything. This really is, and I hope people that know me know, my heart is for West Virginia and to improve it.
Oh yeah, you've served the state great, and appreciate all that you do and their commitment back to the people. It's just, we like to ask, when you sign, we get so many pieces of legislation, as you do, thrown in front of us, and you fully vet them and you read them and you think if it's a good bill or not. But basically, coming from your safety background, you thought this was a opportunity to improve.
Yes, sir.
And Delegate Young, you've been a vocal opponent of this bill, and there was a lot of questions. I see, you are one of the one of those that read the bill, stay up late at night, and highlight all the issues you have. What are some real issues that jump out at you on this bill?
There's quite a few. One thing is it gets rid of the Board of Appeals. So minors who do have issues or they can't take those to the Board of Appeals. It has to go to circuit court. Another thing is it changes the actual makeup of the Mine Safety Board. It's going to be called the Mine Safety Board rather than the Coal Miners Health and Training Board. So Mine Safety Board, and the governor he appoints these positions, and it changes how we even appoint these people don't even have to be competent in safety or have any safety training whatsoever. I'm extremely concerned about that. They do have to list their training concern, but it doesn't mean that any of them have to have any at all. I'm worried about that. It removes a civil penalty that was $100,000 that was put in place after Sago in 2006, passed unanimously on the same day. There's suspended rules, both houses, to get this civil penalty in to make sure that people who are doing wrong have to pay, because we've lost a lot of lives. And while those families will never be made whole, that is something that hopefully will stop some of the wrongdoing. I'm just mostly concerned about the training. The training is another big thing. It goes from 6 months of apprenticeship to 3 months. I understand everyone is short on labor these days, but this is an area where we can't stand to cut corners at all. And people who do have a competent certificate, they can have 2 people with them instead of 1. That concerns me greatly. So there's a lot.
Delegate Burkhammer, you kind of heard some of her concerns, and I'll give you like a final word here. As a sponsor, I mean, do you agree with some of those, or is there anything that you want to rebut that maybe you don't agree with, and think that this bill will actually help minors?
Well, I think this is just a great opportunity for us to reevaluate the training. I understand maybe some of the limitations in the bill that were mentioned have been lessened, but that doesn't mean that we can't improve what we're offering to our companies and to our miners out here. And so I'm just looking at this as an opportunity for not visitors but inspectors to continue to go out and assist miners and make sure they're working safe, and maybe even implement some new trainings, implement some new policies that for the companies, and be an assistance to them. And so I think it's a good step in the right direction of keeping our miners safe.
Delegate Young, I gave him a last word. I want to give you the last word here as well for you. Any comments or final thoughts in particular to this bill?
Yeah, I'm concerned that this is going to help mine operators and not so much coal miners. We heard over and over again tonight that these rules are written in blood, and they're written after there were horrible fatalities or accidents. And I just don't think we can ever be too careful when it comes to our workers, our coal miners, and loss of life. So I hope that this will help if this passes, but I have some serious reservations.
Well, thank you both for being here today. Delegate Burkhammer is one of the 3 sponsors of the bill, and Delegate Young is one of the outspoken opponents of the bill. So, fresh off a public hearing tonight, you heard it right here on Outside the Echo Chamber. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
A new day begins, and what happens today must be covered, reported, and passed on to everyone in the region we serve. We are journalists, staff writers, editors, storytellers. Who are we? We are HD Media, trustworthy and always here for the times we live in.
The relationship between a lawyer and a client is based on trust. You have to make certain that the lawyer you hire has your best interests at heart. We typically meet our clients at the worst times of their lives, and it's our job to help them. Over the years, we've been entrusted with some of the biggest cases in West Virginia. That's because we have a track record of success and getting exceptional results. We've built a reputation as one of the go-to law firms throughout the state of West Virginia.
Joining me, high-profile lawyer Ben Salango. Ben, it's a real honor to have you on.
In fact, many of our cases come from other lawyers. Lawyers who've worked with us, lawyers who've worked against us, and even those who've merely heard of our results. We're proud of the reputation we've earned in the community for providing exceptional, aggressive legal representation. When you hire my law firm, you don't get excuses, you get results.
And Marshall wins another one.
I could take any of these guys one-on-one. Oh, really?
Oh, no.
For a limited time, ask about no payments till summer.
Friends and family pricing for everyone, even trash talkers like Wes.
Welcome back to Outside the Echo Chamber, where today we are in a hot topic of House Bill 4840, very controversial topic dealing with the Office of Miners' Health, Safety, and Training. Maybe if this bill passes, formally known as the Office of Miners' Health, Safety, and Training. But today we just heard from one of the lead sponsors and one of the main opponents about this bill and why it was presented and why so many people are against it. Tonight we also heard about a public hearing that was offered and testimonials from over 20 miners against House Bill 4840. And now it's my pleasure to talk to a former director, Mr. Greg Norman, who is a former director of the Office of Miners' Health, Safety, and Training, and also a former miner. Welcome to the show, Greg.
Thank you.
How many years were you a miner?
30 years and 12 with the agency, so 42 years.
And then as a director?
Pardon?
How many years you served as director?
I was 2 years as director, and I was 4 years as a deputy director.
So it's safe to say you know a little bit about mining and coal miners and their safety.
I do. I know a little bit about it. And also I've been on mine rescue most of my mining career, even with the agency.
You sat through testimonials, the public hearing, the public forum. You've heard from the lead sponsor of this bill of why he introduced this bill. I mean, what do you say to that as a former director of why this bill, what this bill means? As
a former director and with someone that my grandson started in the coal mines this morning, his first shift, it is so sad to hear the testimony from Chris Hamilton. And it's really emotional hearing the testimony from the miners about how important this do away with this bill. You know, they're saying this bill is to restructure safety. This bill destroys safety. It destroys every law that's been passed since Aracoma, SAGO, UBB, all the laws this state passed. It does away with them.
Just a complete rollback.
Complete rollback.
That's what. Let me read that to you. That's what
Sure.
it says here. It says the purpose of this bill is to authorize the Office of Miners' Health, Safety, and Training to act as a support organization for miners and mine operators in this state. What does the word support mean as opposed to what it used to do?
Well,
or currently does?
I guess their definition of support is different than ours. The state agency supports the coal miners and the coal operators 10 times as much as the MSHA does. What they're saying by support is they want the taxpayers to pay for all the training. That's basically what they're wanting. This bill, and I heard the gentleman from Lewis County, the delegate. The only thing I'm going to say is some of the facts that he put out there a while ago. I like to comment on. I just think he's been led some misinformation.
Well, we talked about, he said like MSHA is already doing a lot of this stuff. Is that a fair statement, or do they work in partnership?
No.
Talk about the relationship with MSHA and why it's different than
what
this office does.
MSHA's fines, if you look at the assessments, are probably 10 times more than what ours are. Every law that's been passed by MSHA since SAGO, Aracoma, and Upper Big Branch, the state done all the research and development on it. We had proximity on miners in the state of West Virginia 2 years ahead of anyone. And we don't duplicate MSHA. MSHA duplicates us. The gentleman was on before me was talking about the certifications and training that MSHA does. MSHA don't train nobody. The state agency, Miners Health, provides free electrical retraining and free mineform education training to all laid-off miners. Also, just real quick, in Miners Health, there's 34 certifications that the state tests you for. MSHA has 3. So I don't know where they're getting off that we're duplicating MSHA, and MSHA does all this training.
So what do you predict? What do you predict if this bill becomes a law? What happens?
I'll tell you what's going to happen when this thing becomes law, and inspectors no longer has the authority to shut a piece of equipment down because there's a danger. Only thing they're saying in this new bill, if there's an imminent danger, we can stop them. A good example, I drove down here today on the turnpike. What if the state troopers was only giving out warning tickets for people going fast? I mean, come on.
Warning tickets are just with no meat behind it, right?
Yeah, no meat behind it. Yeah,
no license to write a fine. So explain that to me. I mean, right? Tell me what do you mean by that? I mean, tell our listeners. So right now, inspectors go out and they walk with the miners through the mines. Do they?
It's a good question.
How does it work, and how would it change after this?
Well, how will it change? And I heard one of the gentlemen speaking there. They're not going to have no confidence to come and talk to us because we can't protect them. A good inspector, if there's a problem at the mines, they'll get you off the side and say, hey,
You're talking about the miners.
The miners
will open
yeah.
up. So
now, and he said also, and you brought up that, another thing he'll do this bill is he said that miners' health is not proactive. In 2021, and everything I'm quoting here comes out of the annual report for Miners' Health, Safety, and Training, is they done over 53,000 contacts last year.
Explain to me what's contact.
A safety contact. If I walk in there and you're shoveling belt, I come over and talk to you about the dangers of the belt line. I go up there and watch you bolt top. Our guys go up there, they observe them bolting top, see if they're doing it by the plan. Now, he said that, we need to be more proactive. 49,000 of those visits were on the job site.
What about unannounced visits?
Oh.
What's this do, or I can tell by your expression, what's this do to unannounced visits?
Unannounced visits is, even when you show up unannounced, it's really hard to catch them because the company doing something wrong because the section could be 4 or 5 miles underground. So really this bill, I guess they want us to call them before we show up. Now, MSHA has more teeth in their bill on that law. That's probably the only law that MSHA that I can think of off the top of my head is more stringent since SAGO, is it can actually be a felony if someone at the mines tells them that they're coming.
So you're saying your fear is like if they get a warning ahead of time, they're not going to get an accurate reading of what's really going on. I mean, if they have fair warning, so they can't just stop by, so to speak.
Right. And if they've got time, I mean, the whole section could not have no ventilation on it. The section could be not rock dusted, and it takes you an hour or two to get underground. They just shut the section down or the piece of equipment, repair it before you get there.
We'll talk about mine safety for a minute.
Sure.
We have the most underground miners in America, correct?
Correct.
Fatalities wise, what would this bill do? What could this bill do when it comes to fatalities?
Well, last year we had 4 fatalities, and we had our first one this morning. I was wanting to start off with that. My heart and prayer goes out to Mr. Hively's family, 50-year-old coal miner with 20 years experience. Had only been on the job for a week, and we've already had our first fatality. Without enforcement and doing away with these state inspectors, and like I said, these are some of the best inspectors, I'd say, in the world, not just United States. They're all coal miners. MSHA, there's a lot of MSHA inspectors, and there's a lot of great MSHA inspectors, but every one of our inspectors come out of they're coal miners. They're not, they wasn't took out of office, or they wasn't bid on jobs. They take them to the academy and train them. Our inspectors are actually coal miners, and almost all of our inspectors has family working in the coal mines.
I mean, having been in this job, what does this bill do to the safety of our miners?
You used the word rollback a while ago. It really destroys it. And the people voting on this bill, some of them that haven't been here as long as I've been lobbying down here for 30 years. All these laws was passed after SAGO, ARICOM, and I know I keep coming back to that, but these laws were developed. All the R&D work was done by the state of West Virginia. There was new technology. They used to have a task force that looked at new technology. They done away with that a couple of years back. If this bill keeps going like it is, the fatalities could double or triple in a year.
We had the public hearing that you participated in, and we heard 20-some people against this bill. 20-some.
Right.
One for it. What's that say?
Well, I was surprised that Chris Hamilton got up and spoke for the bill. I did and I didn't. You know, he could have changed everything in there the way that room was reacting to this bill. The biggest thing that this bill is going to do is reduce safety. The next thing it's going to do, it's going to put money in co-operators' pockets. They don't want a training agency just to train the miners. They want us to do all their work. You know, we're already doing backup mine rescue. When I say we, when I used to be director, you know, we're doing backup mine rescue right now for coal companies with taxpayers' monies. If there's a major event, I was in UBB. I helped bring those 29 gentlemen out. One of them I know since he was a kid. And it's just unbelievable how they can sit there and throw all these rules and regulations out that was written in blood. You know, I mean, everybody uses that. I hear everybody use that. That's true. It's sad.
And you know, I heard before I let you out of here, I mean, we have had 26 fatal different accidents since 2016.
Yes.
We've been touted around the country as having some of the best safety standards in America and the world, so to speak. Final words on, you know, being a former director and knowing where we've been, how far we've come, and then what this will do to the future.
Well, like I said, you know, it's going to definitely reduce safety, and some of this other stuff they're throwing in here on the red hats, on the apprentice miners. It's ridiculous what they're getting ready to do. You know, we passed a law to be 120 days because we had so many apprentice miners getting killed. You know, this bill, House Bill 4840, will take us back so many years in safety. It's just unbelievable. I mean, it's just sad to think where we're going.
Well, I really appreciate your service to the state, to the industry, to the miners and their families, and keeping everybody safe, and how hard you've worked and everything you've done for West Virginia. And appreciate you being on our show. Former director Greg Norman. Many years of experience, not only in the mining industry, in the mines, and as director. Well, we're going to take a quick break and come back to you with Outside the Echo Chamber.
Here in West Virginia, we're known as hard workers, friendly faces, and people with a caring spirit. At Summit Community Bank, those qualities are at the core of all that we do. We're a group of experienced professional bankers that you've known for many years. We work hard to earn your business and will work even harder to help you succeed. We customize banking solutions that work for you. We're Summit Community Bank. Service beyond expectations.
People keep asking me how Todd Judy Ford has the best selection of vehicles at a time of national shortage.
The secret is our 130% of Kelly Blue Book for your trade-in.
Everyone wants to trade the car with us and get more money.
And now we're making it even better.
We will beat any other dealer's trade offer by $1,000 guaranteed.
If we can't beat it, we'll just give you the cash.
So bring in that car, upgrade your vehicle, and get top dollar for your trade-in now.
Just go to ToddJudyFord.com and see for yourself.
We know who we are, where we've been, where we're going. Like hospitals all over America, we are changing, redefining, restructuring ourselves to be the best community health system in the region we serve. We are 2 hospitals with more than 30 locations, 450 providers, and 1 mission: to heal. As one, we are Thomas Health, caring for our communities today and tomorrow.
Welcome back, everybody, to Outside the Echo Chamber. Here we are again. You know, we just got out of the public hearing on House Bill 4840. Talk about the mine safety and training organization and possibly doing away with it. Well, you know, here outside the Echo Chamber, we want to talk about how it really affects not only our hard-working coal miners, but West Virginians. What does this bill mean, and how will it affect them? And today, I'm excited to be joined by some friends here. I'm going to start here. You see around the table here, we got a great group of miners. First up, Jesse, tell everybody where you're from and where you live and where you work at.
My name's Jesse Stolzenfels. I live in Taylor County, West Virginia. I work at the Marion County Coal Mine. Been a miner for 20 years.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for all that you've done for West Virginia. All right, let's go. Hey, Brian, tell everybody where you work now and where you're from.
My name is Brian Toothman. I'm from Marion County also. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I work at the Marion County coal mine also, and I have 12 years of mining experience as an experienced coal miner.
We got some experience around this table. Richard, introduce yourself to everyone.
My name is Richard Tennant. I also work at the Marion County coal mine. I've been there 12 years. Currently on the mine committee, representing other miners, UMWA Local 9909.
So we have, as you can see here, we have a wealth of experience, a wealth of history of miners who know what it takes to be safe, to go home, so when you leave in the morning, you return the same way. You just witnessed a public hearing in there where 20-some people spoke against a bill doing away, and about one person in favor. We'll start with you, Jesse. Jesse, how does that make you feel, and what do you have to say about this?
Well, the House bill that's on the floor that does away with state agency and their restrictions and what they can do to, push these companies to abide by the laws, it's sickening. I worked at the Sago coal mine, and what happened there, the laws and the regulations that came because of it, that was a huge step forward in the mining industry, and we shouldn't step back. Why would we go back in time and do away with something that has continually worked great year after year and saved countless lives and injuries? It's just it's appalling to me that that bill would even exist.
If this bill passes, how do you go back and tell your brothers and sisters what we just did up here at the Capitol in the Sago?
I mean, we can tell them on our behalf, how we represented our brothers and sisters in the union, and plus all other miners. But if we would have to go back home and tell them that this House bill passed and that their safety will be in jeopardy, and the state agency won't be able to protect us anymore, it'll be horrible to have to do that.
Jesse, thank you, and God bless. I can't imagine what it was like being at Sago. I know you weren't on that shift exactly, but you were there and dealing with the.
It's hard to lose a lot of good brothers and workers that you're beside year after year. Nobody should ever have to go through that, and the legislature, they shouldn't try to pass a law that would cause that.
And we did so much after that to protect miners and their families, and to make sure that they were insured.
Made huge strides forward, and why would we want to go back now?
We were considered leaders in the country.
Absolutely.
With some of our safety standards. Brian, you heard the testimonials in there today, and you heard the 20-some people against this bill. How does this personally affect you when you hear that in there?
Well, like I say, the whole aspect of it comes as a I'm a second generation. It skipped a generation with my parents, but they both worked in the industry as far as outside of the mines. But both of my grandparents were coal miners. So the things like Jesse said that we fought to get and to give it up all in a foul swoop of a pen, and we've seen a lot of that going on in the last year. So we're kind of sickened by it. Like I say, we don't want to see the agency go down the road or the power they have. It's like we talked a lot about their hands are tied, if their hands are tied, they're not helping us. They're just, somebody else in there that's kind of walking around. They talked a lot of the people we talked to today talked about how they want to be proactive versus reactive. Well, it's always been a reactive industry. So, my gosh, it would be great if they could make something to make it all proactive, but I don't believe that that's any time in the near future with whatever training they can do. But like I say, every aspect of the bill, talking and training, they want to cut the training, not increase the training. They want to train more at the facility or whatever, but the real experience that you get from training is done in the mine. From a black hat to a red hat, I've learned everything that I've picked up in the mines from, like I say, I hope most of the habits are all good in a favorable way that my black hat taught me, because like I say, I value him as a dear friend and a brother. And like I say, I hope to pass on the information that he's taught me to the next guy. But like I say, if you take a kid in off the street and give him a miner's card, and he has half the time to learn what we learned in 6 months, and like I say, and I'm still learning it every day. And that's one thing that we always talk about when you go with these inspectors. You have an opportunity to learn something new every day, because it's something to go with them and actually get taught. So when they're going to take our ability to go with them and walk and learn, right there, they're talking out both sides of their mouth. They say they want to train us and all this, but you're losing an opportunity to train there with an experienced man also.
Well, thank you. You couldn't say it any better than that. I think the bottom line is here. We ask you all as miners carry the load for all of West Virginia. You've done so much and you've given back to this state. The last thing we can do is to keep you safe, protect the health and well-being of you, and continue to train you and educate you, like you said, for future generations of our miners. You know, hey, Richard, you heard the same thing in there, that public hearing.
Yep.
And when you heard some of those testimonials, then you heard this one person and speak of this. How'd that make you feel?
He wanted to say that they want to redirect the state industry. Instead of an enforcement agency, they want a training agency. The training programs are there. The coal mines, the coal companies are the ones not taking advantage of those. If you take away their enforcement abilities without you forcing them to train men, they're still not going to use those training facilities that are available. They do the bare minimum of training that they have to do to get by. They always have.
Yeah, that's what I didn't understand when he said basically they could just visit. They can come by, but not walk through the mines with actual miners. Is that what we were talking about here? Doing away with the ability to walk with the miners and people who actually know what's going on there, to give them the inside.
They want to take the miners rep away. They don't want them to go inspect the coal mine, which is what they do now. They can go inspect and write violations.
It's
and
like
to keep the company within compliance.
It was almost like someone said, take it to a different context. If you have a state trooper pull somebody over and they can just give you a warning, but they can't write a ticket. That's taking the enforcement away from. I heard somebody say that earlier. That was a great analogy there. So,
yeah.
Before I let you all out of here, what's your last plea for legislators? If right now, what can you tell them right now if they're watching today?
This bill should go away and never come back. We should never be presented with it. It should never exist. It does away with our safety, and legislation it needs to just be abolished and gone. We don't ever want to see it again. Just do away with it, please.
And Brian?
I'd like to think that by us coming down here, hopefully that they can weigh a little bit on their hearts. Like I say, we enjoyed our conversation with the men and women that we did get to speak with today in the halls and the offices here. And like I say, we tried to give them a chance to make their points, but we had a hard time chasing down the ones that we really needed to talk to. The ones that were definitely in our favor were there to speak with us and kind of get on the bandwagon with us and give us a little bit of support that we needed, you know what I mean? And as we go on the next couple of days, we're still going to continue to try to chase down some people. So hopefully you're all in your offices or walking around the hallways somewhere. We're going to find you this week and try to talk to you. Like I say, we want to hear your insight on why you think this is a great idea and this is a bill that we need to pass, because it's absolutely not a bill that we need to pass. It needs shot down now, and when the vote comes, it needs to be gone. And like he said, and it don't need to come back, because this is like I say, it's a negative effect, and like nobody wants to go backwards in this industry. We're all trying to go forward.
And Richard, like you said earlier, I mean, you weren't able to find anybody. Have you found anybody that was for this bill?
No, not at all.
Well, there you hear it. I mean, you heard it firsthand right here, folks. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You know, this is what we do. We try to protect us. We come up here as legislators, and then you pass law. And I think it's important on this show to listen to the pros of this bill, and we are going to hear if we can track down the people who are for this bill, and we're going to hear for the people right here, the people that it affects. They want to wake up in the morning when they go to work, and when they come back, they want to know they're going to be safe, and their families deserve that. So we're going to take a quick break on Outside the Echo Chamber. See you in a moment.
A new day begins, and what happens today must be covered, reported, and passed on to everyone in the region we serve. We are journalists, staff writers, editors, storytellers. Who are we? We are HD Media, trustworthy and always here for the times we live in.
The relationship between a lawyer and a client is based on trust. You have to make certain that the lawyer you hire has your best interests at heart. We typically meet our clients at the worst times of their lives, and it's our job to help them. Over the years, we've been entrusted with some of the biggest cases in West Virginia. That's because we have a track record of success and getting exceptional results. We built a reputation as one of the go-to law firms throughout the state of West Virginia.
Joining me, high-profile lawyer Ben Salango. Ben, it's a real honor to have you on.
In fact, many of our cases come from other lawyers. lawyers who've worked with us, lawyers who've worked against us, and even those who've merely heard of our results. We're proud of the reputation we've earned in the community for providing exceptional, aggressive legal representation. When you hire my law firm, you don't get excuses, you get results.
And Marshall wins another one. I could take any of these guys one-on-one. Oh, really?
Oh, no.
For a limited time, ask about no payments till summer.
Friends and family pricing for everyone, even trash talkers like Wes.
Proudly advocating for workers and their families, the West Virginia AFL-CIO is a group of 600 labor organizations representing 70,000 active and 70,000 retired union members. We represent first responders, healthcare workers, educators, coal miners, construction workers, plant workers, truck drivers, grocery store clerks, and every job in between. We believe every worker has the right to fair wages, good benefits, and a safe workplace. That's what the West Virginia AFL-CIO fights for every day.
Welcome back to Outside the Echo Chamber. We actually pre-recorded this episode based on House Bill 4840 because we wanted to hear the comments in the public hearing that was just held. You can view this live stream on charlestongazettemail.com and heralddispatch.com every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:30. It will also be archived, so you can go back. And don't forget, you can email us. You can email us at outsidethieechochamber@hdmediallc.com. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Tell us what interests you and what we can do to bring more inside what's going on under the Capitol Dome. We will continue to do better. We will continue to work hard to bring you all the hot topics and hear both sides of the issues on Outside the Echo Chamber, brought to you as a production of HD Media. Big thank you to Dan Shreve and the Media Center, Ethan, our director, and our producer, Maria Young. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll take even a deeper dive into the next hot topic under the Capitol Dome.